Hey.
Morning.
How y'all doing on this great Monday?
Well, we're all still undefeated.
Want to know is a good thing.
Fire away for Coach, please.
What was your biggest takeaway defensively from that game?
Probably one of the bigger takeaways is just being able to manage and make the 50-50 balls, and probably just on our end, being able to keep our discipline when it's required the most. We had a couple of foolish penalties that we can't allow the change to keep moving and get them into some scenarios where they can get points. Probably one of the bigger things that we saw is when it's needed the most, you were able to be in position to make the plays that you needed to make.
That's been an issue at times in terms of the defensive penalties and some of the unsportsmanlike conducts and those kind of things. And you guys obviously have a veteran defense. Why do you think that kind of discipline stuff has popped up this season?
Just sometimes there's a little bit of frustration, and we really talk to our players about knowing there's a fine line as you walk the element of controlled rage. You have to know when the switch needs to come off and what the penalties are and what it can do to our football team.
Kalen said that because of the shortage of safeties, that you went with 3 linebackers a lot. How did that work out when you look at it? Because you don't usually do that.
It worked out pretty good. From a production standpoint, the gentlemen went out there and played well, very, very few mistakes. They played hard. And I think just from a group standpoint, we have a lot of trust in the guys we put on the field from a linebacker standpoint. So it was able to give us some plays and some pretty good action as well. So we're definitely pleased with it. And it was Carson Bruner was the one who came onto the field to join the other 2 starters.
You were down 3 safeties. How much did you have to switch things around and accommodate for that?
Yeah, it was. We were scrambling eggs for sure. But that's kind of what we do as coaches. You know, our job is to do everything we can to try to put our players in positions to be able to be successful. So we were able to do just that, mixing and matching and trying to find the best combination of guys to be able to execute the jobs that we need in order to be able to win the game. And there were going to be some plays that we knew potentially they could get. We just needed to make sure on our end just minimize the big play, the explosive play, or the free play.
Jabbar McConnell, I thought, was having a really good season. And then this week, it seemed like they were going after him, trying to body up the big wide receivers and finding quite a bit of success. What'd you see?
No, it's just that. It's the ebbs and flows of being a corner. The one thing we love about Jabbar is his attitude, his assertiveness, his aggressiveness, and we told him don't change because that is who you are and that's what got you to where you are right now, and that is your mentality. So he has to just continue to keep on going and being able to make those plays.
Braylon had a massive game just from a pass rushing perspective, got a couple of sacks. What was it when you saw the film that allowed him to have so much success?
His motor, and that is what really defines him and separates him from probably a lot of other people in football. He has a motor that runs like I would say probably like a dragster because it is going and it is going and it is going. He will make the Energizer Bunny get tired.
Playing 3 linebackers, it kind of goes back to sort of a traditional, like what everyone grew up on as a 4-3 look defensively. Yeah. Why has playing that 5 DB look kind of become what your guys' base package is, but then sort of that's kind of the way it is throughout a lot of college football right now?
Yeah, most of the time it's because of the skill that's on the football field. Whether it's the skill that an offense has in 11 personnel or the skill that you want to be able to have on your defense. You want to be able to have your most assertive, your fastest guys, your best skilled players on the field at one time. And in most scenarios in football, it's going to be trying to have 5 defensive back type bodies out there. Probably the one thing I think that we have in our scenario is we have a couple of linebackers who can run like defensive backs. So that's what helps, and that's one of the things that we're doing from an initiative, from a recruiting standpoint. We have to make sure we get long, fast, and athletic linebackers.
Stanford was able to do a lot. Their quarterback was successful extending plays and picking up rushing yards, and you're going to be going against a quarterback this week, obviously, who does that extremely well. What is the thing from last week that needs to be corrected or just improved upon as you go against an even greater challenge on Saturday?
Just making sure that you are very, very, very pass rush lane conscious and aware. The one thing that Caleb does, he does a great job of being able to manipulate, move around in the pocket while still keeping his eyes down the field. He can feel where a pressure point may be coming. He can step up, move around, and escape wherever he needs to be, and he still keeps his eyes down the field. And we also think that the receivers do a great job of seeing those scenarios when he is in stress to be able to extend the play. The short guys go deep, deep guys come short, and often they're able to get some free play. So that is something that is going to be a major point of emphasis for us coming into the week of practice.
What do you guys miss the most when you don't have Thule out there?
You know, you have the junkyard dog. Like, truly, that's what he is when he's on the football field. When you have a guy in the middle that can lock everything down, and you have someone who is really, really, really mature in the game because he understands what's going to happen. He sees what's going on in the backfield. So from a maturity standpoint, that's probably one of the biggest things that you're going to lack there, just his in-game feel for everything that's going on. So hopefully he'll be someone that we'll be able to get back here coming up this week.
Obviously, somebody who plays his position isn't necessarily going to have like the productivity stats. What do you see on film, maybe in an instance where you go, wow, that Thule really did his job at an elite level there. He really, made that play or helped that play.
Yeah, well, usually some of the things that he does, he's able to attack the line of scrimmage, hold his point, be in his gap, and sometimes throw and make a play at the next gap over. And that's one of the things that I think that he does a great job of, and I know Coach Noakes does a great job of coaching him and the rest of the group on being able to do that. Something that he does well is he's able to create some great separation between he and the offensive player. When you can create separation, it'll allow you to be in a position where you can be able to get off blocks and be able to make plays.
At the same position, Javon Parker seems like he's really been impressive in just a limited amount of reps. Is the plan to just kind of expand his role as the season goes on?
Yeah, no, he is someone who is literally coming along. In most scenarios, you would say he is green and growing. It is awesome to see because every day, every practice, every moment, he and Armand are definitely growing and getting their feet wet. So we know they definitely have a bright future.
What challenges does Caleb Williams pose, given how dynamic he is just as a player overall?
Yeah, just everything. When you think about what you're looking for in an elite quarterback, he has it all. He can make all the throws. He can keep all of the plays alive with his feet. His eyes are always going down the football field. He has some elite skill to where if people don't know, he's a lot better athlete than you think if people don't understand that, because he can outrun everyone up front. In most teams' front seven, very rarely have you seen him get caught by anybody. So he's able to extend plays, do all the things that you want a leader to do. You can see him adjusting and making the checks and things like that you want within their system. So when you talk about having someone who is a veteran Heisman candidate-ish quarterback, I mean, that's exactly what you want in your program.
How important is it then for a guy like that to set the edge and then have your inside guys do their run foots and stay disciplined?
Yeah, that is critically important to where in the pass game, your interior guys have to get an equal push in reference to that of your outside guys, because your outside guys are too far up the field and your interior guys are on in the line of scrimmage. That's where you have what's called an inverted line of scrimmage. So now that's where guys could step up and work their way back outside and keep the plays alive. And often the guy can get off the block, but he may not be fast enough to catch him.
You had Jacoby Covington for a spring, and then he headed for USC. Mm-hmm. Could he have helped your defense? Was he a good fit for it if he'd stayed?
Yeah, potentially. But the one thing that we keep our focus on is those individuals that really, really, really want to be here. And that's truly our priority. The individuals that love the culture, that love what we're doing, and really want to come in and grind it out.
Coach, how would you describe, in general, Lincoln Riley offense, and what is it that he's so good at that's allowed him to have success pretty much every season he's been a coach?
Yeah, probably the one thing that they do very well, they're able to get the ball in the hands of the skilled athletes in open space where they can make a guy miss, to where all of a sudden a 5-yard pass can turn into a 50-yard pass. or the running back in the run game has a blocker in front of him as good and as skilled as the running back core is, where all of a sudden a potential 4-yard gain can turn to a 50-yard gain, or being able to run some options, or being able to run some ins and outs, just with respect to some of the route combinations. They do a really good job of being able to stress you at all points in time, just with respect to the routes that they run in the pass game. Probably the thing that we've seen the best is they do a really good job of adjusting during the game, sometimes in the series, where they'll run a play, you play it very well, and they'll come back to it 4 or 5 plays later, and they've made their adjustment to it already.
You guys seem to have been really good at flushing quarterbacks out of the pocket. Sometimes I'm not sure if that's a good thing. Bad things seem to happen. Is there an answer for that?
Well, yes. The answer is just make sure you can do everything you can to keep him in the core and allow him to go through his processes, and we have to be on body on our end when it comes to what we're doing with the receivers.
All right, is that everything for Coach?
Michael said after the game that he kind of started to feel better as the game progressed. Did you feel like, I mean, health-wise with his illness and everything, that this was a better week for him, or better weekend for him than the previous one?
Yeah, I thought he got stronger as the week went, and certainly I felt like even at halftime, I did feel like he, just kept getting better, and even, the beginning of the game, he was still fighting, and he just did a great job. He knew he was sick, and he had to battle through it during the week, and especially early in the week, he was certainly weak. But he knew he had to be out there to get the reps and, get the knowledge of what we were running and the coverage schemes and things like that. So I thought he battled his butt off and did a great job of just putting himself in a position to play a good game.
When you know that he's battling through that, did that affect the way that you approach the game plan, play calls, anything like that?
No, I didn't feel like there was anything that, we wouldn't be able to execute. I didn't feel like there was throws that we had to stay away from or anything like that. I think it was more of just thinking about ways to try to keep Mike from being taxed, and even in practice, there were some times where, Dylan and Austin had to take extra reps that they wouldn't normally take, just to kind of keep Mike as fresh as we could and limit his reps and just how much he had to exert himself during the week. But he did a great job. He fought through it, and there was really very little adjustment to what we had to do.
How's he feeling now?
Good. He was really good yesterday. It's the best I've seen him in probably 10 days, honestly. So yesterday in meetings, he seemed really upbeat and just seemed like he was in a good spot, seemed back to himself.
How hard is that on you, just to know what he's capable of and just know that he's not 100%? And I mean, it was obvious that he was missing some throws that he would normally make. What's going through your head?
Just that he'll battle. Honestly, I just had total faith in Mike that no matter where he was at, that, he would find a way to get it done and that he had enough strength in him to make it happen. So I really wasn't worried. It was just more a situation where you just got to believe in Mike and trust him that he'll find a way to make it happen.
It sounds like Mike wasn't the only one battling it.
No, there was definitely, it's that time of year. I can remember going to the Washington State game last year, and I wanted to fly separately. So it's about what it is. It's that time of year. So everybody take a little vitamin C in the morning and drink a lot of water.
Did you get it?
Nah,
Yet?
no. I'm good.
How did J-Mac respond after the game? How did he?
He was emotional. It's been really hard on him. This is, I'm not saying J-Mac's never been hurt. He's obviously been injured. But just having to fight through some of this and try to find a way to be out there. Obviously, he's had 2 different games where he's tried to do that and get out on the field and stay out there. And his body just hasn't allowed that to happen for him. So, it's been emotional for him. He wants to be out there. He wants to make an impact and help us win games, and he certainly can. We miss him. I think we got obviously JP and Rome are phenomenal. Jeremy and all the guys, they're great, but J-Max, he's his own kind of guy, and his ability to separate versus man coverage is elite. So he knows that, and he knows that we're better with him out there. So it's hard on him. It's really hard.
He said he told you last year that he didn't like the way last season went when he led the team in receiving, and so that's why he came back. And I'm sure he doesn't like how this one's going for him personally. And he still has a redshirt season. Is that something in the back of everybody's minds?
Yeah, I think he's got an extra season no matter what. I don't think the red shirt piece matters. So there's certainly, I don't want to speak for J-Mac, but we're always supportive of him, and if he wants to be here next year, we certainly would love to have him again, and I'm sure that does weigh in on him, and we check in with him. Coach Shep and myself talk to him a lot about those things, and without trying to, predict what's going to happen or force him into one lane, but we just want him to know we support him and love him, and we're going to help him any way we can.
Do you have an idea of what his availability is going to look like as you guys go into a pretty tough stretch here?
I talked to Darren yesterday, and they did strength tests again, and he's doing good. It's just some of the cuts. He's such a violent, he's so violent at the top end of his routes and things like that. It produces a lot of stress on his joints. So I think that some of that, when he doesn't feel the stability, that until he can really feel 100% on that, I think we'll just have to wait and see. So we're still. Hopefully he's going to get out there again, try the brace on his knee and see what happens.
You had some stuff happen on Saturday that we haven't seen all year, with Rome with a fumble, and then Jalen Cole. He hadn't had any drops all year, and he had 2 drops. Is it sometimes that things just kind of build on each other, or did you see either of those?
No, I think there's a preparation piece to that, if I'm being transparent, and that's what I told the guys on Sunday. I thought we had a good game, not a great game, and there were certainly 2 red zone turnovers is horrific, and we could have helped the defense by staying out there doing that and scoring points and, getting 50-some points instead of 42 and leaving it, a close football game when it shouldn't have been. So that part is frustrating. And the thing I told the guys last week was, we had, I think it was a Thursday practice at Oregon week. We were 46 of 47 throwing the ball on Thursday practice. The ball touched the turf one time all day, and that's not what it was on Thursday practice. So we gotta focus up and do a great job. And I know Rome and JP, they made plenty of plays for us. So as far as dropping the ball, I don't think that's something to catch a norm on. But I'm more concerned with how we protect the football. Rome had fumbled the football out of bounds multiple games in a row. And, there's just too much of that right now, and we got to get it cleaned up. And it's got to be unit reinforcement, not just the guys with whistles. And guys got to realize last year we led the country in fumbles lost. We only had lost 2 all year. And so right now it's just not good enough. It's not the standard, and we got to make it more important.
We didn't see Giles on Saturday. Has a decision been made whether he's just going to play the 4 games or not?
No, he was nursing an ankle. So he wasn't able to go. He didn't practice all week, and so we're still dealing with that a week at a time. And right now we're going to see what he can do out there tomorrow, and then make the decision on the USC game. And so we're still obviously staying in contract, with Giles every week and trying to find out whether he's able to help the team. If he is, we just look at it as 1 game at a time. If he's able to help us, he still has games left. And then when we get to the 4th game and we're full, we'll have to make, harder conversations at that point. So he's been great, and he's willing and ready to help the team when his body is able to.
Seemed like you guys were maybe a little pleasantly surprised that Jeremy was able to play
Oh,
as
man.
much as he did. How hard is that when he hasn't had the reps throughout practice and is able to go out and run those routes and make those plays?
It's tough, just, more on him than anybody, but just, I got so much trust in Germ. He just does such a great job of being ready. He's definitely one of the guys that I highlighted that it's, what a great job of preparing all week like you're going to play the game. I think some guys can be hurt and not preparing themselves for the football game and, just kind of accept where they're at. And I thought exactly the opposite of Germany. He fought every day, and, they were like, I don't know if he's going to go. I don't know if he's going to go. And then I remember me and Shep talking Friday at the walkthrough, like, I think Germ should come with. And yep, let's even another day. You know, you still got 24 hours from Friday to see, you know, where he's going to be on Saturday. And he just did an awesome job of being ready and honestly filling in some spots where he hadn't been playing a bunch. And so just incredible job. And that's what you expect out of the guys on a championship caliber football team.
Kalen had talked about the adrenaline with him and the fact that he probably felt better after that game than he even did on like Friday's practice. How did he come out of that and how is he looking?
Really good, really good. Yeah, he was great. Talked to him for quite a while yesterday and feels stronger and, you know, probably has a different level of confidence on that leg now and that ankle. So I think he's just getting better every day. And I know he's been super diligent about, you know, getting in rehab and trying to make it stronger and getting himself back for the game. So I've been just really impressed with his work ethic and his commitment to being back out there.
Same concept with Julius Bilo,
Yeah.
back out there, and how did you feel he held up and the whole line together, getting together in that group of five for the first time in a while?
Yeah, they did a good job. I thought Julius is, you know, same as Germ. I feel like every day he looks a little bit better, and he's probably not quite 100% yet, but I thought he did a really good job. I thought specifically in pass protection, we had, you know, a couple times that, you know, Mike was getting pressured that he shouldn't have been. But overall, I thought the protection was good. I thought the pressure pickups and isolating man coverage was much better than it was the previous week. So, you know, what I had spoke of last week about making people pay in man coverage, I thought we did that. And, you know, got the ball down the field when there was no safety help and definitely made him pay. And that certainly was, you know, Mike had a couple checks on protection that he had missed before, and he did an awesome job with that and put us in a position to make some big plays there. So I thought that was a big step in the right direction.
Can we expect to see more carries from Jack Westover at tailback?
Hey, you never know. You never know. I'll do anything to get the run game going.
Does this feel almost like a non-conference game? Because Huskies haven't played USC since 2019, and I don't think they've played them in LA since 2015. So it's kind of an anomaly on the Pac-12 schedule for them. Does it feel different? Is it treated different for any of that reason?
Well, I didn't know any of that till you just told me. So, so not for me, no. I asked Dylan Morris, you know, if he'd played there, and he said no. He kind of explained the same process, and I think for our guys, they're just amped for the opportunity. You go down to play a good program like USC in a great environment like the Coliseum. We played there once when I was at Fresno in 19, and you know it's a really good environment. It'll be a lot of fun, and I think that's a situation where the guys just look at, you know, that's one that you circle early in the year like this is going to be a fun game. What a rivalry that this could be on Saturday.
What have you seen from their defense on film?
Yeah, they're really multiple. They got a lot of coverage looks, a lot of man schemes. They'll show you man on one side and zone coverage on another. So I think they try to be really multiple. They got some guys that can run around. 90 is a good football player. The guy on the inside, he can move really well. He's got strong hands and separates well. But got a lot of athletic guys that can run. Their free safety, number 7, can cover a lot of ground. So I think that the big thing we got to be is discipline, that we can't let their movement and all their different fronts and coverage schemes, you know, get in the way of us running our stuff and doing our thing.
Westover was mentioned, but I mean, it was a big day for your tight ends as a whole in terms of
Yeah.
Dev making an impact, and you know you've got a bunch of wide receivers. But is there a way to emphasize that position more when you've got guys that you trust, like Culp and Westover?
Yeah, I think some of that, you know, always depends on what the willingness of the defense. You know, we felt like coverage-wise, when we got into 12 personnel, there were some things that we could take advantage of them with, and the guys did, and we got the looks we were expecting. So that was really good to see. And sometimes you just need a different type of body type to win in certain coverages. And when people don't adjust their personnel like Stanford did, they'd bring in another bigger body, then you know, you certainly can get those guys out there and utilize those matchups. But when you get, you know, nickel defenders and corners and things like that covering tight ends, sometimes not as good a matchup. But I thought that we did a really good job with that, having that ready to go. And I think almost any week, though, honestly, Jack and Dev run well enough that they can be an option in almost, you know, any scheme. So I think that they're doing a good job, and we're finding ways to utilize those guys. But always when you're down players, you're trying to find the next way to fill those holes. And, certainly those guys are up for the task, and they do a good job, super knowledgeable guys, and they can fill in any pass concept.
The running attempts on first down, you had quite a few of them. What did you see? Are those checks that Michael's making into? Should he get out of those? Is it blocking?
No, I didn't have any run checks for Mike this week. There were protection checks, but, the run game, honestly was frustrating. There was, it was one of the first things I addressed is I felt like there was at least 7 hits that, I think there's plays that you practice, and sometimes you question whether did I give them the right look enough? Did we rep that play enough? And if that's the case, I'm typically pretty gracious in that. I won't burn the guys down and, call them out on anything. But if it's something that we repped and it was a look that we got and we did it a lot, I'll be pretty upset about that. And there were some of those that the execution on some of those plays was poor. And so we got to have a renewed sense of interest in the run game. And we got to, focus on it more. We got to coach it better. Got to push the guys more because there were certainly some hits that should have been had, if I'm being honest. And we got to keep improving. We got to keep, committing to it. I think we rushed the ball 27 times and obviously didn't get the yards per carry, but I liked at the end of the game, we found ways to get some fits that were advantageous to us and, finish the game with the run game. And I thought that was something to focus on and highlight a little bit.
92-yarder was the second longest pass play in school history, and I'm just kind of curious on plays like that. You're thrown out of your own end zone. Philosophically, sometimes you run the ball to get out of there, but you love to take shots too. Just tell me what all went into that play.
Well, some of those are look calls where if we get the matchup we want and you get a max protection opportunity, which is what we had, and you got a veteran quarterback. I mean, there's no doubt. With a guy like Mike, he knows where his outlets are on a play like that. He can get the ball out of his hand. He knows what the problems are because even in that situation, they did pressure us and we did get man and I kept it on. And, Mike had Dylan off the edge on a pressure and Dylan got enough of a fit on that Mike could hang on to the ball and let JP clear traffic and make that throw. But there's a big component to that, just the quarterback, that he's going to make a good decision and not put you in a bad spot. Because it's not just, getting sacked. It's all of a sudden you panic and throw the ball away and you get a safety for intentional grounding, things like that. Those things all go into play. But I just think, again, we can't win the game with throwing the ball 50 yards every play. We know that, and the guys know that. At the same time, when we get man coverage and things like that, we need to find the way to win. And certainly with max protection, we feel good that our guys can do that.
Did Polk get extra credit on that play? Because not only did he get wide open, but he got fouled on the play, left the guy on the ground.
Yeah, there's no and one in football, unfortunately. But I think for him, I love showing that clip. And the thing I, really stressed to the offense was there's so many, especially young receivers. I think you can learn from that play that, so many guys will get a clear pass interference and they'll throw their hands up or throw the flag. And they're more worried about getting the call than they are scoring a touchdown. And that's what I love about JP is he's so hungry. He's like, 15-yard penalty ain't enough. I want the 92-yard 6. And that's what he did. He fought through the guy. Mike trusted him, let him clear the traffic and go get the touchdown. I think that's such an imperative deal, that we stress to our guys all the time, just keep fighting, go get the ball. We're going to give you a chance and spotlight you, and don't just wait for the flag. So I thought that was a huge play.
Is that all?
All right. Thank you.
Coach.
All right, good morning. I know the coordinator's giving you quite a bit of information from the game on Saturday. Just really looking forward to this week. I think always getting better is the message, and that's what it's been all year long, and certainly need that now as we head into the home stretch here of the season. So it's crazy how fast you go from bye week to mid-season, and all of a sudden now there's only 4 left, but four big ones, and looking forward to a great challenge this weekend.
Sounds like the flu had its way through the locker room. Are you on the downside of that, or?
Yeah, I think so. I think we're, and it will probably come through again. You know, we experienced it last year a couple times, and sometimes it just, different guys, as long as it doesn't hit one position group all at one time and you can't practice or practices has to be adjusted, you're usually all right. But, yeah, we're doing all right, I think.
Has COVID stayed away from your team?
Yeah, it has.
Did you, with that situation last week, did you have to adjust practices because of specific position groups or anything like that?
No, not really. It was more just the dings and stuff. And, you heard from Ryan, just, the reps maybe a little bit with Michael, but he was there at practice.
Grub touched on it a bit, but has there been a plan or discussion at all about shutting J-Mac down for the season, or is it still kind of just taking it game by game at this point?
Yeah, no, it's all just game by game, because he's really close. I mean, he's really close, and it's day to day with him. Early in the week, really hopeful, but kind of by Tuesday, we kind of maybe a little bit nervous, and all of a sudden by Wednesday, Thursday, really picked up a lot of steam, and so. Been through just trying to figure out exactly how to get him over the hump. So he wants to be out there as bad as anyone, and he's a big-time competitor. So he knows how important he is to our football team, and so whatever we can do to get him out there as quick as possible and feel good about it, we're all for it.
Do you have relationships with anybody on the staff, or have you faced anybody on this?
Yeah, certain staff members, but nothing that's real, like where I've worked with anyone, so.
As someone who's worked with a lot of quarterbacks, what stands out to you about Caleb Williams that's special and maybe a little bit different?
Yeah, elite playmaker, can make all the throws, and, like Coach Inch said, eyes are downfield, and buys time, will not be afraid to make any throw on the run, deep down the field. So, we got to do a really good job of just staying on the receivers and any skill player, especially when, he's escaped the pocket. And that will definitely happen. And, you got to make the play and get him down and line up and go play again. That's what your mindset has to be, is that he's going to make some plays. There's just not a game. I mean, you're not the Heisman quarterback without, that ability, and the playmaking that he has is exceptional.
Can you compare what Caleb Williams is able to do as a runner as opposed to Bo Nix, and maybe the differences in their styles?
I think a lot of the times it's maybe a little bit what the offense, system is. And, I think probably, every system has the ability to get the ball out quick, and, I think with the run game and the emphasis of that with Oregon and the way they try to get balls and spit it out in the perimeter, there isn't as many chances for Bo to escape as much. I think Caleb he seems to have more opportunities where he can sit back there and just more in drop back concepts, and because of that, going through his progressions and reads, there's more opportunities to create. But they're both major threats, both as a passer and as a runner. Some of the best I've ever seen.
Going back to Jalen, do you think there's any thought in his mind, because of how much time he's missed this year, that he might consider coming back for another season next year?
Yeah, I think that. I mean, I know how important it is for him to just, I think back to a year ago, and, huge credit to him. He was thinking about coming back well before he made the decision officially, publicly. And a lot of it is he just has his individual goals, things he wants to accomplish. And, I think it has to do with what he does here in the program, and how he leads our program and what he's done. He's come so far, and it's just it's awesome to see his growth. But I also think about just that next level and where he wants to get to, and that's something I'm sure is in the back of his mind, and he's working through, and we'll continue to talk it through with him. But you know, that's on his time frame. But he certainly knows we're here for whatever information he needs us to gather to help him make the best decision possible. But you know, he's just a tremendous player, and his growth, not just as a player but as a person and as a human being, is just something I'm extremely proud of, because even the toughness and just the guts that he had to try to continue to push through even this week to get on the football field says a lot about what he wants to try to bring to this football team, and how important they are, you know, to him.
Are there any updates you can give on Vince Nunley and Asa Turner?
What updates on him?
Yeah.
Asa would be day to day, and I wouldn't count on Vince for this weekend.
Same with Cam Fab and Thule, or?
Yeah, I
Thule, you
think
had said you
I
liked
think
that.
Cam Fab. The next couple days will be really big for him. I think he feels good about it right now, but you got to get out there and practice. And so, you know, from the end of last week until tomorrow, really, there has not been any of those practice opportunities. And you know, we brought Thule with, and so we obviously felt like he was close enough to where if we, you know, if we were in dire straits to where there was, you know, other injuries or something that happened in the course of the game, you know, he could have gone out there, but that was at the risk of, you know, more issues happening to where we might lose him for a longer period of time. So we trust him, and he said, you know, he wanted to go on the trip and be there for the team if needed. And, you know, I think that fortunately we've gotten through the weekend, and now, you know, he's in a lot of the same position as far as Cam Fab, you know, seeing how it goes tomorrow and being day to day.
After taking a look at the film of the last 3 games, what are some things you absolutely have to clean up if you're going to win down at USC?
I think, you know, just opportunities. And so, you know, when you're in the red zone, you know, scoring touchdowns, and we've had some takeaways or turnovers, you know, down in the red zone the last couple of games. And those are the points that keep you from extending leads, you know, getting the momentum. It's not even like you're not getting 3 points, you're getting 0. And so those points add up and, you know, keep the game close. And I think just consistency, you know, but the consistency is a lot of just one of those areas I just explained, you know, being in the red zone. So Grubb talked about consistency, just whether it be running the football or just making the plays that are out there to be had. And defensively, I think, you know, like Coach Inge said, you know, there were some 50-50 balls that we've done a good job of knocking away and contesting, and you know, those plays didn't end up going our way as many times this last weekend. But I think our guys are in a great mindset. They're in a good mindset to go out there and attack and continue to work this week. And I felt like in the second half, I felt like we were starting to play, you know, football the way that we know it. You know, just kind of grinding through it, and just, you know, getting those turnovers, I think just were the things that didn't allow us to get over the hump here in the fourth quarter especially.
Kalen,
Coach, how do you evaluate, after watching film, how do you evaluate the offense for Stanford? What'd you think?
I think they're well coached, and so there's things that they can.
No, your offense against it.
Oh, our offense.
Yeah. You're watching the film where you.
Yeah, there's just, you know, there's such a rhythm, I think, to great offenses, and we just couldn't get in that rhythm consistently. Got the good field position on the first drive, went down and scored, and then just, you know, whether it be a drop ball throughout the course of the game here and there, just that rhythm, you know, that we were missing. And I think we did find that rhythm in the second half after the first drive. You know, there's a penalty that pushes us back, and we take a sack. And really, it wasn't anyone getting beat. We just got to be better with our guys being on the same page, and something actually really that's not complicated. And so, you know, once we found that rhythm, I think in the rest of the third quarter, going to the fourth, it really just came down to 2 turnovers in the red zone. But there was a lot of confidence, and I think that you still saw that our guys working through that even in the last drive when we found a way to get the ball in the end zone.
Kalen, your current generation of fans will tell you that Oregon is the most disliked rival, but the older generation will tell you it's USC. And USC and Washington went at it in ways that the Huskies came out with 3 one-loss seasons, and each loss was to USC. So USC's cost this program a lot. And here, just add to it, they haven't played much in the last 4 or 5 years. Does that bring any kind of different approach to this game that there just isn't, it's almost been like a non-conference game coming into it this year?
Yeah, no, I get that. I mean, I think back to the places I've been, and there's this history, and, especially when it's your alma mater or your hometown team. I mean, you're in it for more than just 2 or 3 or 4 years. You're in it for decades. And so I get that piece, but from our standpoint, this is about the 2023 team, and we talk about this not just for this game coming up, which we will say is the most important game because it's the next one. This 2023 team, really nothing from last year matters other than the lessons that we take from last year, and it definitely going back before last year doesn't mean a lot. Doesn't mean that hey, we want to make amends for what has happened in the past. Sure, yeah, we love to our alumni that set the stage for us to do what we have and the tradition we have as well. But for us, this is about the 2023 Huskies and us just being in the moment right now and having a big game against a very good football team in USC. And so that's really as simple as we'll try to make it and what it's all about.
Kalen, you've had undefeated seasons and you've won championships. Is there any characteristics of this team that maybe remind you of those other teams, or is this season reminding you of any other season?
A lot. I mean, these games that we just went through, every undefeated season I've ever been a part of has these games. Games where you're down 14-0 in the first quarter and you somehow, just grind it out and find a way to win. Games where we won 11-10 in, some tough weather in a semifinal game to go to a championship. I mean, it wasn't pretty. And, there's games seasons when you're putting up 30, 40 points a game or more, and you have those come up. And so, to me, it's about, the fight and the guys and, working through those times of the season when it's not perfect or you're not completely healthy. I mean, it's going to be something different at different times. And so I think all championship teams have those close games, You can probably look at the defending national champs in a year ago, see that there was a game that or two that they had to grind through to get the dub. That's just college football. Every win is hard, especially when you get to conference play and teams later in the season really can kind of do a good job of trying to see, what it is they need to try to do to slow you down. We're doing the same for them. And the teams that we play. So, yeah, I think every season that I've been a part of, there's very few where it's just been this clean, easy ride, throughout the course of the year.
Grant mentioned that the run game is something he wants to get going, and it seems like there's been a few guys behind Dylan that get chances but not a ton. It's kind of what can you guys do to get the run game going more?
It's just I've been doing a better job of just being clean on our execution. I would, you naturally think the O-line, but I think it's everyone. It's receivers, making the blocks at the right time because the running back knows if I get through the first level, I got to beat, the corner or I got to beat the safety. Who is that guy? And so it's execution of everything, much like there was, just some execution things we talked about week 1 and week 2 that we were really close to hitting on. And there were some good hits in the course of the game, that we had. Unfortunately, one of them that got brought back, I feel like, it was well blocked and, could have got us off to a good start in the third quarter, and in the end, hurt us on that drive and eliminated that opportunity. But I just feel like you're always, the days when things are going really well, you're hitting on all cylinders and that big block is happening or that big catch and that big throw is happening. And then that kind of spurs you on in that rhythm. And we're missing on a couple of those, but having a good week of practice, and it was good to see Julius Bulow add to the mix, and I think we again are building more depth at the offensive line position, and that just helps with the flow of practice too, having a more able bodies that are out there and able to execute and get those running backs more looks at those plays too.
That it for Coach?
Awesome.